Hi everyone. Hi everyone. My name is Joe Kanema and I'm a pharmacist by profession. I have been in the pharmaceutical industry for 10 years plus now. I have worked in the government sector and I have also worked in the private sector. And I know a thing or two about the pharmaceutical industry. So my making of this video today is basically to talk about the news that we all heard on the 3rd, is it the 8th? The 8th of May 2025 on Thursday, regarding the stolen medication from the United States government. So I'm just going to read a snippet of that report, and then I will be able to give a comment. So this video is basically not to say the report is wrong or the report is correct, but basically this video is just basically to shed light on what happens in the retail pharmacy setup and also what happens in the government pharmaceutical setup, and how are these two different in terms of the logistics, in terms of the procurement, because I think this is not the first time that we have received such reports. I think even previously there has been some news or reports regarding retail pharmacies stealing medicine from government hospitals. So let's try to understand this scenario and where it is coming from. So I'm just going to read just a snippet of the news from the United States government. So it says that I'm reading from Kalemba. It says the U.S. slashes aid after discovering 95% of 2,000 pharmacies. After discovering that 95% of the 2,000 pharmacies sold stolen medication. So that it means the retail pharmacies, is referring to the retail pharmacies. So the United States government has announced that it will slash 1.4 billion kwacha, equivalent to 50 million US dollars worth of medical aid to the Zambian government. So the medication that they referred to in this report, where they call them the life-saving medication, such as HIV medication, TB medication. Primarily, these are the ones that are predominant. So how many retail pharmacies currently do we have in Zambia at the moment, to try and understand in context? So currently we have 2,000 retail pharmacies. In fact, to be specific, we have 2,009 retail pharmacies according to the Zambia Medicines Regulatory Authority. So the Zambia Medicines Regulatory Authority is the government agency that registers retail pharmacies in Zambia. They not only register, they also inspect, they carry out inspections, and so on and so forth, to ensure that these retail pharmacies conform to the pharmaceutical standards that are required in this country. So the report said that 95% of these retail pharmacies were found to be stocking and selling these HIV and TB drugs. So I think that gives us about 1,900 retail pharmacies, which allegedly are selling these stolen medications. So let us also understand, perhaps from the government side, the management process of HIV medication and also TB medication. So these drugs, they come into the country, of course, and are heavily and highly funded by the United States government. And they come through the Zambia Medicines and Medical Supplies Agency. So that is ZAMSA. So ZAMSA is a quasi-government institution, same as ZAMRA. It is it's like 50% government and 50% private, but the government still maintains some level of control over this institution. But for all the government facilities, they order or procure their commodities from ZAMSA, primarily from ZAMSA. And all these HIV and TB medication, these government facilities, they procure them from ZAMSA. And once the procurement is done, these medications are dispensed in specific locations at different hospitals, these government hospitals called ART clinics. Clinics. That these are the specific dispensing areas. So you will never find HIV medication being dispensed in the usual window where other medications like cough medications or some antibiotics are being given. No, they are dispensed in ART clinics. And just to tell you, ART clinics, actually, if you go to any hospital, you find they even look a little bit different from any other facility at the government hospital. They are simply because even the infrastructure is funded by the US government. You can see the infrastructure is a little bit different from what you see. Even the personnel that work and dispense the HIV medication, in most cases, are employed either by these US-funded organizations. And there is a very sophisticated system that is used. It's called the Smart Care or ELMIS, which is the Logistics Management Information System. It's a logistics system that is used to track these US funded medications. So it is very tight. It's a tight system, and in some cases these facilities have got CCTV, and you have got this ELMIS system that you use to track the movement of these drugs. And in most cases also, they come with labels. So the drug, it comes with a label. It's for the government of Zambia. So even when you see the packaging of this particular drug, you'll be able to tell that this drug is specifically for the government of Zambia. So this is just in a nutshell how these HIV drugs are basically monitored and surveyed. And I can tell you, it's a very tight system. It's a very tight surveillance system that, and in most cases, the stock availability of these HIV drugs is almost always above 90%. It's very rare that you walk up to a hospital today in Zambia and you'll be told that there are no HIV drugs. It's very rare. Why? Because these drugs are always and almost always available in these facilities. And it's also the reason why Zambia recently, we have achieved what we are calling the 90-90-90, which means that of the people that have HIV and AIDS, 90% should be able to know their status, and then 90% of the people that know their status should be on the medication. And also the 90% that are on the medication should have the viral load suppressed. So we have achieved that milestone simply because we have got availability of HIV medication in these government facilities. Now, a retail pharmacy, what is the motivation for a retail pharmacy to stock HIV drugs? That, mind you, the patients get HIV drugs for free from these government facilities. The HIV drugs are gotten for free. So what is the motivation that somebody would go to a retail pharmacy and be charged at very high costs as well to buy these HIV medications when you can easily walk into any government facility and get the HIV medication for free? So is there motivation for a retail pharmacy? Because a retail pharmacy is a business entity, and I can assure you, even if you stocked HIV medication as a business, it's not going to make a business sense, because how many people are going to come to buy these expensive commodities when they can easily get them from a hospital out there for free? So these are some of the things I think that we should be able to understand. And I also want to speak also on the procurement of these commodities. So you have the government sector, and then you have the private sector. The government facilities, like I mentioned, they order or procure their commodities from ZAMSA. ZAMSA is just basically a warehouse. It's a quasi government warehouse that supplies the commodities to government facilities. So a government facility, I'll give an example like UTH. UTH, in most cases, is procuring its commodities from ZAMSA. There are situations, quite all right, where a government facility, maybe ZAMSA doesn't have these commodities, or maybe they need them. There's an emergency order and it's available, for instance, maybe on the private market, which is warehouses, the pharmaceutical warehouses. Government facilities also are given that mandate to procure from warehouses. And for retail outlets, retail pharmaceutical companies, they order or procure their commodities from private warehouse pharmaceutical companies. So never at any point a retail pharmaceutical company cannot procure medication from ZAMSA. It doesn't happen like that. So a retail pharmacy, which is in a private setup, is only able to procure medication. But this is by law, so you cannot order drugs or procure your commodities from ZAMSA. It's not possible. So you can only procure from a registered wholesale, which is also in the private setting. Now, there could be situations where the same drug that is procured, remember I mentioned that the government facilities are also given that mandate in situations where maybe ZAMSA doesn't have the commodities. They can procure from private warehouses. ZAMSA is a government warehouse, but they are private businesses, private pharmaceutical warehousing companies where a facility like UTH can procure. So there may be, in some instances, that mix up in terms of these commodities, because remember, these are coming from a private warehouse. So a private retail pharmacy can also order the same. For instance, if it is paracetamol, for instance, the same private retail pharmacy can buy the same paracetamol from the same private warehouse where a government facility has ordered paracetamol. So you may find the same drug in in the government facility, and the same brand of drug also in the private facility. It happens like that. But you will never find a drug or commodity that is being stocked by ZAMSA. You cannot find it in a private retail pharmacy, because a private retail pharmacy cannot procure its commodities from an entity like ZAMSA. So I hope I have provided maybe a little bit of understanding as to the structure of private these retail pharmacies and where they procure their commodities, and also the structure of government facilities and also where they procure their commodities, and the possible mix-up where these reports also sometimes may also be able to come from. But when it comes to HIV medication, TB medication, I have been practicing for more than 10 years plus now. I have never come across, I think only once, I've never come across since then HIV medication in any retail pharmacy. And more so the medication that is specific for the Zambian government, funded by the US government. I've never seen that. And I think that what we should ask from the United States government is a detailed report of these findings, which retail pharmacies were visited, which commodities did they find, and also we need a detailed, really detailed, because even some of the retail pharmacies, I think we've mentioned that ZAMSA, there's about 2,000 pharmacies, but some of them may not even be functional as we speak right now. So we really need a detailed report for us to be able to analyze this and be able to understand basically what they're talking about. But I thought I should add on something. Thank you.